Left uni, had done video and movies at uni, decided I'm going to go and do this other thing, sent it over to New York, managed to get it on a cinema in New York at the film festival, and had this sliding doors moment where it's like, is my life taking me here? Dad had a comfortable lifestyle and he quite liked things, the status quo the way they were. He's like, I don't know if we really need to do this, Craig. Like, really, you're going to try and compete against Dell? We've just purchased a 4,000 square foot pub that was built in 1970, and we're going to turn it into an innovation centre for my team to finally have the space to feel proud of where they work, but to get the best out of them. It's been terrible when we sell gaming PCs, and something that we were selling in September of 2025 at £100 is now £500. My concern was, when it all first started happening, were we going to run out? You know, was there going to be no memory?
So welcome back to the Network Group podcast. This is the next season, the next session in what we've been doing, having conversations with some of our members. To be honest, it's one of the ones I've been looking forward to the most. Sitting down with a very good friend of mine, Craig Hume, who's from Utopia Computers. So I won't steal your thunder, Craig.
Steve, thanks very much. It's a total pleasure to be here. I'm really looking forward to this conversation too. Yeah, Managing Director at Utopia Computers. We are a retailer, an e-commerce provider. We sell custom gaming PCs, workstations, laptops, servers. We're kind of unique that way. But we also have a growing managed service business, so we provide technical support to organisations across Ayrshire and even into Glasgow. So it's a total pleasure to be here today, and I look forward to the conversation.
So back when, I think I remember the first time we met, which was, I was on a stand at PCR boot camp with Phil Morgan, me and Phil Morgan, out sending the message, spreading the message around membership and the benefits of it. He's obviously a far superior salesman than I am, but I remember having that conversation, and you guys were up for another award in kind of that fifth year of winning that PC, which one was it, the PC Builder Award?
PCR Award. So yeah, back in the day, that would have been the Retailer Award. So PCR, trade magazine that focused at that time predominantly on retail. Mm-hmm. And we were stepping our toes out of our little localised areas. We were in Kilmarnock, and up until that point we'd been a little retailer that really hadn't put its head outside of Kilmarnock. So we were trying to work out what the industry was doing, and events like boot camp were pretty exciting at the time. Great chance to meet vendors and obviously meet groups like Network Group who were selling the dream, which at the time I thought was,
did we deliver?
Yeah, it was never gonna be what it was on the tin. I was very sceptical, but yeah, that was over 10 years ago now. So yeah,
it could have been more, I
think it might be. Time flies.
2012. I always remember that quiet admiration that we had for you guys, and you were almost, I think some people have mentioned that we tried to kind of speak to you about membership, and we were really after the flagship members. So we wanted the guys that were winning the awards, that were up there on stage, and you guys always used to tip up in the kilts and get in all the magazines. I remember in PCR magazine, it arrived next month, and pretty much every photo you guys were in, and you did a really good job at marketing that. And I remember Phil we sat down and had breakfast next morning, and he said, I think we'll get him. We just need to convince Craig is kind of, we'll make him believe. And then obviously you started to attend the events. I think you'd agreed to kind of come and have a look at what we were offering. And I said this a few times actually. I said this on the last podcast, maybe the one before when we were speaking to Jez Nolan. A lot of new members that we attract are attracted by the commercials and then stay for the community. So the initial kind of way up is, how much money is this thing going to save me? Have they got a better deal that I can get myself with a certain vendor or supplier or whatever it may be? Do you think that was the case for you?
Yeah, so I joked, Phil at that time sold the dream. Whatever the membership cost was at that point, instantly the commercials were going to save us a fortune. We were going to be, we were going to be having huge success just by signing on the line. And I was very sceptical. I came along to the first meeting, I think it was in Telford at the time, a hotel that we definitely have some good memories from. And yeah, I think it was that first room. So I still remember going into the room, and up until that point when I spoke to other IT businesses, everyone kind of held their cards quite close to their chest. And it was a lot of bravado. There was a lot of, yeah, we sell thousands of this and hundreds of that, and we do this and we do that. There was no transparency, there was no honesty, there was no humility. However, 5 minutes into that first room, and we were talking about e-commerce and selling online, and everyone was just like telling us it was. Like, I'm really struggling to get this function working. I'm really struggling to get traffic. I'm really struggling to get, whatever it might be. There was some operational stuff, there was strategic stuff, but it was very honest. Yeah. And I was like, holy, this is great, because these guys they're all having the exact same problem I'm having. Some of them are 3 or 4 steps ahead, and instead of me having to spend weeks, months trying to reinvent the wheel and work it all out, I'm just going to listen to Steve, I'm just going to listen to James, and I'm just go home with a plan, which is to this day still one of the things that I think is so rich about the group. It's been able to go into a room. We heard it yesterday. We had members that were talking openly and honestly about, cyber situations that sounded incredibly stressful. But by sharing and talking about it, we're all a little bit more prepared. And I know that if something was to happen, good or bad, at Utopia, that I've got a community of people around me that I can kind of go, like, Steve, can you help me with this? Yeah. Or this opportunity that's just landed in my door that isn't really fitting what we're normally doing. I know there's going to be somebody in the group that's going to help me understand it and make sure whether it's right for me or wrong for me.
Yeah, and then in the same breath, you sat in a room that they're sharing the struggles and all the rest of it. You lean into the e-commerce bit, and then you look round and there's Mark Jordan sat in the corner that's at the time was running Box. Yeah. And he was doing kind of 30-40 million revenue, and then so you have that, there's people in the room that are doing unreal things, and you can create that as a vision, and you can think, right, okay, these guys have done it, and they're just normal guys. They're excellent at what they do, but they're just normal guys. And then you can see the problems, and then so you've got kind of something to aspire to, and then you've got other people to share ideas with and concepts.
I think that's a really important piece. Like, when we bring young people in to Utopia to get experience, certainly in our area, sometimes they just don't have a vision of where they can go. What does success in life look like? And one of the things we try and do is allow them to paint that picture. But you've hit the nail on the head with Network Group. There's always a bigger fish. There's always somebody that's further along the journey than you. But you can see that they are real. They're not superhuman. They're not crazy intelligent. They're just men and women that have they're a few steps ahead of the journey. And instead of having to go, like I said, and keep reinventing things and struggle, you can find the shortcuts that just make everything so much easier, which is incredibly hard to put as a tangible thing. There was conversations had in the bar last night. It's about staff development. It's about a building, green energy, all this stuff. None of it's on the Network Group website. This is the stuff you're going to get the benefit from. But it's all the things that are in the back of my head now, and I'm like, right, okay, there's some action points.
Yeah, it's a little bit clearer, isn't it? It's a little bit. You kind of go back with a bit more of a vision and I get that. I don't know how we're going to fit this into 25 minutes, to be honest. But we're gonna move in, and we're just gonna talk, and we're going to edit it out. But you've started doing some kind of video content around the new place that you're moving into, and we'll move onto that for a second. But one piece that you did was visiting where your dad started the business. Yeah. And I watched that. I sat and watched. I think it was quite a long episode because you kind of had a walk through town, and you even sped a little bit up. And I sat and watched every second of it. And one of the reasons why is a couple of people that we that we get along as a group. We get along with really, really well. But they're kind of generational, and it's a weird thing. Like if you're a butcher or a baker or a candlestick maker, that's quite a common thing. And my dad were a butcher, or my dad were a farmer, and this, that, and the other. In the IT world, there's only a few generational people that have kind of got brought up in tech, and then now all of a sudden they're in that tech space. And I think there's me, you, Mel Rambridge, probably Steve Smith, although he probably started more of on a partner level with his dad rather than just being kind of dragged up through it. Tell me what that's like to be is it a blessing or a curse to be a generational business leader that's come from a parent or a family business?
I think I can only really speak of it directly from my experience. So from my experience, sadly my dad's no longer with us, so it is a complete blessing. I had the opportunity to, you have that sliding doors moment. Left uni, had done video and movies at uni, didn't do very well at uni with it, so decided I'm going to go and do this other thing. Sent it over to New York, managed to get it on a cinema in New York at the film festival, travelled over there, and had this sliding doors moment where it's like, is my life taking me here? Yeah. Or at that point, my dad was kind of having quite a lot of fun and success building Utopia. Yeah. And I was like, do you know what? I want to spend more time with him, I want to learn from him. I didn't actually really vibe with everything that was going on over there that way. I didn't see myself there. So came back and yeah, I learned the lessons. He taught me things like a problem shared's a problem halved. I made mistakes. Tried to hide those mistakes at one point, and then realised that I needed his input, and straight away his experience and what he had, he was like, "That's not really a problem, Craig. You just do this." And I was like, "Right, okay." So now, fast forward, I think I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world because I get to do a job that I love. I get to share it with cool people, and I get to kind of live on with his legacy a little bit. So being in a small town, building a business in a small town that the town is proud of, means that I'll regularly have conversations where people will bring up my dad and say, "Oh, I've got this memory of my dad." Or on that video, I think people commented and said, "Oh, your dad used to play darts down there. He was a good darts player." And these kind of things, well, that's a connection to the past that I love. So, long-winded answer, but I think for me it's a blessing. And quite unique, and like you said, in our industry, which is relatively new.
Yeah, a lot of people speak. My dad's is retired now for kind of 6 or 7 years, and when you're in the mix of it and you're still working in a family business and everyone's in it, it's not difficult, but it's quite tough to navigate someone who's done it all and potentially kind of winding down when you're kind of just ramping up. But I definitely there's a couple of key things that kind of my dad used to say, like you can only do the best that you can do, and they're quite warming. So even when shit hits the fan and we're not having a great day, I sometimes think back to that and think, yeah, that's kind of some really, really wise words. I know Mel is exactly the same, and she's doing like unreal things now. And Steve Smith is exactly the same as well. And it's pretty cool. It's quite a unique thing that we've that I kind of share. I love to see these stories.
It's good, and hey, like I said, you've got all the fun memories, and yes, as you grow, and when we first started deciding that we were going to build PCs and we were going to sell them online, and my dad had a comfortable lifestyle and he quite liked things, the status quo, the way they were, so he did kind of push back quite a bit, and he was like, I don't know if we really need to do this, Craig, like, really, you're going to try and compete against Dell? But those are all lessons and memories now, and yeah, we had some fun times. I mean, I can't remember if I even said to you, but one of the things that kicked Utopia off was, I don't know if you used to get like the yellow paper, and it had like all the free adverts in it. It used to come out every week, and we used to track down like stuff, and my dad tracked down like this IT stuff that this farmer had. So basically, he he had said that it was Escom, which was a German company at the time that had went kind of bankrupt. I think they had a crazy deal where basically you could return anything if you thought it was faulty. But back in the day, like even getting a little mouse to work, you had to install the driver and DOS and things. So they just got hundreds of stuff back that wasn't faulty. So we went down to this farm, and the farmer basically thought he wanted the scrap metal, so he wanted all the cases, but everything else, like the little handheld scanners you used to get, and Logitech mice and all that cool stuff, he had no idea what it was. So my dad, we had like an old Volvo estate at the time, so we just filled it up with stuff and paid him like, you know, that's 50p for that, and you know, whatever. So this went on for a little bit. A couple of weeks we go back and forward. We were doing markets at the time, so I was only like 12 or 13 and going to Sunday markets with my dad. Was selling all this stuff, making some money. It was good. We go back to the farm, and I remember to this day the guy was like, I think you should come into the kitchen today, just get some stuff to show you. And we go in, and the farmer pulls out an absolutely massive knife and is like, we've just found out how much all this stuff is worth. And my dad was like, well, you know what, it was a deal, it was a thing, but we're going to go now. And we liked it, never to return.
Wow.
But you know, those are the early, very, very early days of you know, technology, and at the end of the day, my dad taught me to reinvest everything back into the business. So there was another computer shop at the time. I remember seeing the guy had bought 2 Jaguars, and I said to my dad, look, he must be doing really well. And my dad was like, just see if he's there in a year. And he wasn't. You know, my dad taught me some good lessons.
Yeah, it's a crazy story.
It's a fun story.
It's a crazy story. We used to do something similar. My dad borrowed £3,000 to start the business, and he sold our family house, where he had a great job at the gas board, and he sold his family house, and we moved into a shop. So we lived above a shop. He borrowed $3,000 to buy the stock, and he placed his first order before they opened the doors with a distributor that's still going today, and I won't mention them, and they shipped it twice. So he ordered $3,000 worth of stuff, and he received $6,000 worth of stuff.
Wow.
So he rung him, because he's super straight, as my dad like. He rung him, and he said, you've shipped me this stuff twice. And they said, it's impossible. We weigh it all when it leaves. There's no way. So he left it a couple of days. He rung him again. He says, you've shipped me it twice. I've got it. They refused to take it back because they said it's not on our system.
Yeah.
So we ended up, from that kind of leap of faith, borrowed $3,000. We ended up with, and I'm sure the distributor, as I say, they're still going today. We spend a lot of money with them now, so I'm sure they've been paid back.
Yeah, they've paid back in dividends since. I don't know. You know, I'm not very woohoo and all that, but I do think that sometimes karma looks after you, and it seems like your dad was a brave man, took a leap of faith, and somebody somewhere looked after him and gave him that kickstart that he needed. But yeah, I mean. We've got very similar startup backgrounds. My mum and dad had their last kind of £500, which was what started the markets. And
Tell me about so you just made a massive step, probably the biggest in the company's history.
Oh, unbelievably so, yeah.
I won't steal the thunder. Tell me about what you've just done.
So we have we've just purchased a 4,000 square foot pub, a tavern. That was built in 1970. Honestly, it's good. And we're going to turn it into an innovation centre. So we are going to create a space for us to do our best work, for my team to finally have the space to feel proud of where they work, but to get the best out of them. So we're going to be building PCs, we're going to be building laptops, we're going to be repairing devices. We worked out the other day that we've saved about 55,000 devices from landfill since we started, all those different devices that we've fixed and repaired over the years. And then we're also going to be providing technical support to local organisations and businesses in Ayrshire and further afield. All of that is also, we're creating a space where the community can come in. So we want everyone from kids that are getting homeschooled to be able to have a space where they can come in and experience technology. Charities who deal with kind of kids that maybe don't have the best start in their life, to be able to come in and have a space where they can maybe lean into. There's lots of cool charities that do great things with dance, sport, all this kind of stuff, but you know what it's like. Some kids just like technology, and that could be their thing. Alongside that, all the way through to 90-year-olds that have locked themselves out their iPad again and need help with their emails. And then obviously businesses who want to be able to come in and understand how technology can work, how we can make them more secure, how we can make them more efficient, what AI is and whether they should be using it or not. So yeah, it's a huge step. We had 2 separate units, one owned, one leased. This new unit will be more than twice the size of both those units together. And it's currently a shell, so it is completely derelict. So we will be completely retrofitting it, building it up from scratch with a net zero aspiration. So how close can we get to net zero? So we're currently working on the envelope of the building and working out the insulation, underfloor heating, solar, battery. Spoke to someone yesterday, Mike, the chair, and he's talking about rainwater capture and have we thought about that? And I hadn't actually thought about that. So there's another aspect. We do get a lot of that. We get a beautiful sunny day today.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, always sunny here. But no, we do get a lot of rain. So
and you can only do that by offering a mix of services. One of the services that I was super interested in that you guys offer is the kind of AI servers, development systems, large language model hosts.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that, because there's not many people in the industry doing that.
Yeah, so AI tools that we have online, we can use them, but our data sovereignty, depending on what data we're putting on there, we're not too sure where that lives sometimes, or who's looking at it, using it. And there's also huge costs involved if you're running agents or you're wanting to do large models, perhaps image recognition. So working with a couple of clients that are doing everything from recognizing like flowers and that type of thing, all the way through to recognizing like fire damaged buildings. So if you want to be able to be in complete control of that, then you can have a localized system where you can run that, and we will see everyone from basically a small desktop computer that you wouldn't look at a place in an office, through to things like supermicro servers, where you can really be looking at 800 billion parameter models, like crazy stuff. It is very new. You're right. There's not a lot of people talking about it, but there is a demand, and we are kind of stepping into that space and learning with our clients. And that's this space is moving so quickly that we've definitely went. We probably don't know any more than you at the moment, but through each client we gain, we learn more, and then we try and pass that on to the next client that comes in.
Yeah, some of the industry stats that are coming out now are just wild. Like NVIDIA announced they've got $1 trillion of orders on their order book up until 2027.
Yeah.
Which is it's just ruined the consumer market in terms of RAM pricing and SSD pricing, and I think everybody's dealing with that at the minute, and understanding kind of what that looks like. Is it going to slow demand down? And
yeah, I mean, I think it's been terrible when we sell gaming PCs, and something that we were selling in September of 2025 at £100 is now £500 in April 2026. So it's pushed the cost of a gaming PC up, and thanfully for us, the supply is still there. My concern was when it all first started happening, were we going to run out? Was there going to be no memory? Thankfully, I think Sam Altman from OpenAI had announced that they had put in a letter of intent to basically purchase 40% of the world's memory. He's withdrawn that letter because they closed Sora, the video generation tool, because basically wasn't making any money. So there are signs where the bubble, the AI kind of slot bubble, is maybe
it's slowing down
a little
bit more realistic to
yeah.
because you can only ride off private equity money for for so long.
Well, these companies are valued in the trillions, so, and I think the investors are maybe seeing that, where's the actual return here, because tools like Sora weren't making any money. So.
Yeah, when AGI comes through, we say all the time that the next 3 years are just going to be wild. They're going to be the wildest times I think I've ever seen. I
was learning how to use a tool called Google Stitch, I think it is. So basically, if you imagine, if you had somebody who was a designer for a website or an app, you would sit and have a conversation with them and say, like, this is what I'm thinking, this is what you want to do, and then they would go and do it. So Google Stitch basically does that, and it does it instantaneously and gives you like a mock-up that you can use, which is brilliant. If you're thinking of making a landing page, just kind of talk to it, tell it its thing, give it your colours, it'll go and design your landing page. Now, it's not so innovative that like a leading marketing agency wouldn't be able to do better. They would. But if you're a small company who's just wanting to make a landing page that looks good but don't really know where to start, it's amazing. So I'm telling the team how amazing that is, and then like a week later, Claude Design comes out, and basically it does all that, but instead everything is editable, and you can just continually iterate while you have a conversation with it. So it comes back and it gives you, the design. You can kind of say, well, actually, and you can literally are saying to your computer, well, actually, I don't really like the heading. I think what it should look like is more Ferrari, and it'll just go and do it.
Scary, isn't it?
It's a week.
It's scary.
A week. That the tool that we had before is now slightly outdated, but they say that, 200,000 web apps get developed on Lovable every single day. 200 new projects get started.
They've just announced a breach, actually. I've just checked in LinkedIn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've been using Lovable for about 18 months. In fact, funny enough, I met one of the VCs I met at PAX 8 last year, who's the same private equity firm that's backed Enforcer. They're kind of super wired in, so they know kind of everything that's all the trends and this, that, and the other. And Lovable's like one of the European growth stories of the last 18 months. Is like this company that's not connected with the US has just exploded, based in Sweden, I think, Switzerland maybe, and just gone. But then they're not without the troubles or their issues. Anton's just announced today that they have had a security incident that was announced a couple of weeks ago, where basically project data was available by changing the URL string, I think, on the project. So, but the pace of this there's going to be collateral damage around people producing so much so quickly. There's going to be.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like there needs to be an understanding that when we vibe code and we create tools that we use, if we don't understand what that code is actually doing and where else it is touching, there are risks there for organizations. It's all very good and well that we can throw up a website, or we can throw up a new tool for our website, but what is it doing behind the scenes, and what is it maybe opening up that we don't realize? Understanding the code is still incredible, and maybe more so than it ever has been.
I think the growth of that, what do they call it, data repatriation, the growth of that internal development is going to be a real thing, and you guys are on it, doing the hardware.
But I think there's a real opportunity. Like I was looking into some stuff, before, if you were a managed service provider, a tech company, an IT company, and you wanted to try and create value for your customers or potential customers, there was a barrier to entry which was so high before. So if I want to create a tool that maybe checks your cyber posture, I'm going to reach out to a developer, I'm going to have to reach out to maybe a design agency. It's going to cost tens of thousands of pounds. We've both been there in projects before. Whereas now, I can jump onto Claude Design. I can say, like, this is the kind of thing I'm thinking about. Then go into Claude Code and say, like, can you make this work? And generally speaking, within 24 to 48 hours, the flip side of that project is that we can now have a tool made for clients that can help them within days and have no upfront costs really, other than a couple of people's time.
I heard a term the other day, I think I read it on LinkedIn, disposable software. And I was like, shit, serious, this is where we're going. So we're going to create a tool and burn it after the use of what it is. But I think that's where we're moving. Yeah, disposable software. So we could speak about a million more things, but I'm sure the editing team are thinking we probably need to trim this back. I just want to leave with one thing really. I want to ask you a question. I would say if anybody's looking at the membership and thinking about joining, thinking about reaching out, obviously a lot of our members now are MSPs. We still cover the retail and resell sector relatively well, and there's not many groups across the UK that do as good a job as we do, even with some of the legacy agreements that we've got in place that cover those. What would kind of be your one bit of advice just to kind of start to get involved, start to have some conversations, and start looking into the group?
Just be brave and come along to an event like this. We started this, I was sceptical, when Phil first came to me and said, look, there's a group, you come along, you're going to get amazing commercials, you're going to get access to fantastic vendors and partners, there's a really strong community that is very open and honest, and you're basically going to be able to, make some lifelong friends along the way. I didn't believe any of it just sounded too good. Fast forward more than 10 years, we've worked out. I'm still in it, I'm still loving it, I'm still getting value every single time I come. The network group is very, very special. It has heritage, it's been around for a very long time. And with that, there's a huge amount of trust with the partners, and I think the members are some of the best people in the industry. So, being in the room, learning from the best, and it's a no-brainer. It's a great place to be.
Yeah, cheers, man. I wish you all the very best with the new place. I'm gonna have to book out. I'm up next week. Actually, I might come over and see you, but I need to need to book out some time to come and see you and check that place out. So. Thanks for everyone for listening. Hope we give you some insights into kind of what it's like to be a member and a bit about what Craig's doing and the way he's leading his space in Ayrshire, and in particular for the town that he's from. So don't forget to share this content, leave a comment. As I say, follow Craig's team over at Utopia Computers. Where's your main channel now? Is it kind of YouTube or?
At Utopia Computers on pretty much any channel. So whether that's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you find us anywhere. Any questions about the story, we're very much a go-giver, so you ask away and we'll help. But thank you for having me, Steve. It's been a real pleasure.
All right, cheers. Thank you.